If you're over 60 and you've quietly noticed changes down there, you're not alone. I've sat across from hundreds of men who thought they were the only ones. The energy dips, the firmness fades, the confidence wavers. But here's what I tell my patients. Circulation is not gone, it's just neglected. And what you eat in the morning can either shut it down or switch it back on. Stay with me, because one simple breakfast shift can change everything. But here's what most men over 60 don't realize. The difference between feeling old and feeling powerful again rarely starts with age. I've seen men in their early 60s who move slowly, speak with fatigue in their voice, and quietly assume their best years are behind them. And I've seen men at 72 who stand taller, think sharper, and still carry that quiet spark of confidence. The gap between them usually isn't genetics. It isn't luck. It's circulation. When men over 50 sit across from me and lower their voice to talk about changes down there, they almost always expect me to start talking about testosterone. And yes, testosterone matters. It influences drive, muscle mass, mood, and performance. But more often than not, when I look at their labs and listen carefully to their symptoms, the real issue isn't the hormone itself. It's blood flow. Your body runs on blood. Your brain depends on it for clarity. Your heart depends on it for rhythm and strength. Your muscles depend on it for stamina. And yes, your performance down there depends on it too. Without healthy circulation, even normal testosterone can't do its job properly. As we age, something subtle but powerful happens inside the body. Blood vessels begin to stiffen, microscopic inflammation builds, plaque can start lining the inner walls, and nitric oxide production declines. Nitric oxide is a small molecule with a huge role. It's the signal that tells your blood vessels to relax and widen. When that signal weakens, vessels stay tighter, blood doesn't flow as freely, and circulation quietly declines. And here's something most men never hear during routine checkups. Erectile challenges are often the first visible sign of cardiovascular strain. The arteries that supply blood to the pelvic region are smaller than the coronary arteries. So when circulation begins to suffer, you feel it there first. I don't share this to scare you. I share it because it's empowering. It means your body is giving you an early warning system, a chance to correct course before bigger problems develop. When we improve circulation, we're not just helping performance, we're supporting heart health, we're improving oxygen delivery to the brain, we're stabilizing energy, we're even enhancing sleep because better blood flow helps regulate nervous system balance. This is about total vitality, not just one area. Let me paint the picture clearly. In your 30s, blood vessels are flexible and responsive. They expand easily. They recover quickly. In your 40s, they begin to narrow slightly, especially if stress, poor diet, or inactivity have crept in. By your 60s, unless you've actively protected them, they've lost much of their elasticity. They're less responsive, slower to open, slower to deliver. That's why you may notice less firmness, a slower response, fewer or weaker morning erections, lower stamina during activity, colder hands and feet, even fatigue after meals. These symptoms feel disconnected, but they aren't random. They're vascular. They're signs your circulation system needs attention. Now here's where most men make the mistake. They assume the solution is a pill, and I understand why. It's fast. It's marketed everywhere. But pills don't repair blood vessels. They temporarily force dilation for a few hours. They don't rebuild the inner lining of your arteries. They don't reduce chronic inflammation. They don't restore nitric oxide production long term. What I want for my patients isn't dependence, it's restoration. And here's the hopeful part. Your blood vessels are remarkably responsive to lifestyle changes, especially nutrition, faster than most people think. Within a few weeks of improving nitric oxide support, increasing antioxidants, and lowering inflammatory foods, I've seen measurable changes in blood pressure, endothelial function, and energy levels. The body wants to heal. It simply needs the right inputs. That's why the morning matters more than you've been told. After a night of fasting, your system is reset, Hormones are recalibrating. Cortisol rises naturally to wake you up. Blood sugar is stable. It's a metabolic window of opportunity. What you eat first doesn't just fill your stomach, it programs your physiology for the day. Your first meal influences inflammation levels. It shapes your insulin response. It affects endothelial function, the health of your blood vessel lining. It impacts testosterone signaling. It determines whether your energy rises smoothly or crashes by mid-morning. Most typical breakfasts, toast, cereal, sweet pastries, sugary coffee drinks, spike insulin and trigger inflammatory cascades. That narrows blood vessels even more, exactly the opposite of what you want. But certain foods do the reverse. They increase nitric oxide production. They protect the endothelial lining. They improve blood flow to extremities, including the pelvic region. They support stable energy and hormonal rhythm. And when used consistently, they begin to restore the very system that aging has slowly worn down. And that's where we're heading next, because there is one morning combination I repeatedly recommend to men over 60. I've watched it shift lab numbers. I've watched it improve energy. I've watched it quietly rebuild confidence. But before I reveal it, you need to understand something critical. Timing and synergy matter more than any single superfood. One ingredient alone won't transform your circulation. The magic is in how they work together, and that's a conversation very few people are having. But it might be the one that changes everything for you. But here's what most men don't expect when I say this. The single most powerful circulation-supporting food for men over 60 isn't exotic, expensive, or hard to find. It's simple. If I had to choose one foundational morning food focused purely on blood flow, it would be beets. Yes, beets. I can almost see some of you reacting. Maybe you haven't touched them since childhood. Maybe you associate them with bland salads or something your parents forced you to eat. But hear me out, because inside that deep red color is something incredibly powerful for aging blood vessels. Beets are naturally rich in dietary nitrates. When you eat them, your body converts those nitrates into nitric oxide, the exact molecule we talked about earlier. The same molecule that signals your blood vessels to relax, widen, and allow blood to move more freely. And when blood flows more freely, everything downstream benefits. Clinical studies have repeatedly shown that beet consumption can improve endothelial function, that delicate inner lining of your arteries that controls dilation. They've also shown reductions in blood pressure, sometimes within hours of consumption. And when blood pressure stabilizes, circulation improves everywhere. Your brain feels sharper, your hands feel warmer, your stamina improves. And yes, the pelvic region benefits too. But here's what I always tell my patients. Don't just eat beets alone and expect magic. Instead, create what I call a morning synergy stack. This is where strategy replaces guesswork. The formula I often recommend is simple and realistic. Beet powder or fresh roasted beets as your nitric oxide base. A generous handful of spinach or arugula layered on top or blended in. A small handful of pumpkin seeds. A source of healthy fat like olive oil or half an avocado. And a solid protein source. Eggs on the side or Greek yogurt mixed in. Why this combination? Because circulation doesn't exist in isolation. Spinach and arugula are also rich in natural nitrates. They amplify nitric oxide production through a slightly different pathway, creating a compounding effect. Leafy greens also contain antioxidants that protect the nitric oxide you produce, preventing it from breaking down too quickly. That means longer-lasting vessel relaxation. Pumpkin seeds bring zinc into the picture. Zinc is critical for testosterone production in men over 50. And while testosterone isn't the only factor in performance, it absolutely influences drive, tissue responsiveness, and overall vitality. Healthy fats, like olive oil, reduce inflammation and help stabilize blood sugar. Stable blood sugar protects your blood vessels from the repeated damage caused by insulin spikes. And protein does more than build muscle. It prevents age-related muscle loss, supports hormonal balance, and keeps you full so you're not reaching for sugary snacks mid-morning. This isn't a miracle breakfast, it's strategic physiology. Now let me explain why the morning amplifies its effect. In the early hours of the day, your body naturally experiences a testosterone peak. It's part of your circadian rhythm. But if your breakfast sends blood sugar soaring, insulin rises sharply, and elevated insulin interferes with optimal testosterone signaling. In simple terms, you blunt your own hormonal advantage. Stable glucose equals better testosterone signaling. Better testosterone combined with improved blood flow equals better performance. It's a two-part system: hormone plus circulation, signal plus delivery. And here's something even more important than any ingredient: consistency beats intensity. You don't need megadoses. You don't need extreme supplements that promise overnight transformation. You don't need complicated regimens that you'll abandon in 2 weeks. You need daily vascular nourishment. Quiet, steady, repeated signals that tell your body it's safe to open up again. I remember a 68-year-old patient who was skeptical at first. He agreed to try the beet and greens combination in a simple morning smoothie, nothing fancy. 3 weeks later, he came back with a slight smile. "Doctor," he said, "I didn't expect this, but my morning energy feels different." That's how it starts. Energy improves first. You feel a smoother rise instead of a sluggish crawl out of bed. Then you notice warmth returning to your hands and feet. Circulation becomes more noticeable, and slowly, confidence follows. Because circulation changes are subtle at first, then they become undeniable. And here's the part most men never hear explained clearly. Morning erections aren't just about intimacy. They're a vascular health barometer. They reflect nighttime blood flow, hormonal rhythm, and endothelial responsiveness. When they diminish, it's often a sign the vessels need support. Support the vessels, and the signal can return. But nutrition alone isn't the entire equation. Even the best breakfast won't reach its full potential if your body stays sedentary right afterward. There's a second morning habit that multiplies the effect of this circulation supporting formula dramatically, and without it, you're leaving real results on the table. Let's talk about that next. But here's what most seniors overlook. Food sets the stage, but movement opens the curtain. I tell my patients this constantly because it's simple and powerful. Blood flow follows motion. You can eat the most circulation-supporting breakfast in the world, but if you sit immediately afterward for hours, you blunt the very effect you're trying to create. After your beet-based breakfast, even 10 to 15 minutes of light movement can significantly increase nitric oxide availability and enhance endothelial responsiveness. That inner lining of your blood vessels we talked about, it responds almost immediately to physical activity. When your muscles contract, they signal your arteries to expand. Blood begins to move with more force and rhythm. It's like turning on a pump that's been idling too long. Now notice what I said, light movement. You don't need punishing workouts. In fact, high-intensity exercise first thing in the morning can spike cortisol too aggressively in men over 60. Your body is already experiencing a natural cortisol rise to wake you up. Layering extreme exertion on top of that can leave you feeling drained instead of energized. Instead, think gentle but intentional. A brisk walk around your neighborhood, light resistance bands to wake up your upper body, a few sets of controlled bodyweight squats to activate large muscle groups, gentle cycling, or simple stretching combined with slow, deliberate breathing. These movements send a message to your vascular system. Open up, deliver, respond. And that breathing piece matters more than most people realize. Nitric oxide isn't only produced from dietary nitrates, it's also generated in your nasal passages. Slow nasal breathing enhances nitric oxide release and improves vascular tone. When you breathe through your nose instead of your mouth, especially during light movement, you increase oxygen efficiency and support vessel relaxation. Now imagine combining nitrate-rich foods from your breakfast with movement and nasal breathing. You're stacking signals, you're telling your blood vessels to expand chemically and mechanically at the same time. That's synergy. That's how you multiply results without adding complexity. Now let's address testosterone directly, because I know it's on your mind. Many men assume low testosterone is the primary cause of decreased performance. Sometimes that's true. Hormone levels do decline gradually with age, but often, when I review lab results, testosterone isn't catastrophically low. It's moderate, adequate. The real issue is that circulation has become the bottleneck. Blood flow delivers testosterone to tissues. Hormones travel through the bloodstream. If vessels are constricted, if endothelial function is impaired, that delivery system weakens, signaling suffers. That's why some men pursue testosterone therapy and still feel underwhelmed. They increase the fuel supply, but they didn't repair the plumbing. When you improve circulation, you improve hormone delivery. And when you combine that with natural morning testosterone peaks, you create a far more efficient system. It's not about chasing higher numbers. It's about optimizing the pathway those numbers travel through. Morning sunlight exposure also plays a bigger role than most men think. Just 10 minutes outdoors after your light movement helps regulate your circadian rhythm. Sunlight hitting your eyes early in the day stabilizes melatonin production at night. Better sleep follows, and better sleep equals stronger natural testosterone production. Sleep and circulation are deeply connected. Poor sleep increases systemic inflammation. Inflammation stiffens blood vessels. Stiff vessels impair blood flow, and impaired blood flow affects both energy and performance. It becomes a frustrating cycle that feeds itself. But cycles can be reversed. I've watched men in their late 60s and early 70s transform, not because they chased dramatic interventions, but because they respected these foundational habits. Morning nutrition that supports nitric oxide, light movement that stimulates blood flow, sunlight that anchors hormonal rhythm, consistent sleep that lowers inflammation. These habits aren't flashy, they don't make headlines, but they work because they align with how your body is designed to function. And here's the quiet truth I share in my office. The body at 60 is still responsive. It still adapts. It still rebuilds when given the right signals. The key is stacking those signals daily instead of relying on occasional bursts of motivation. But there's one more piece to this puzzle, one common morning drink that many men over 60 consume without thinking twice. It feels harmless, routine, comforting, yet in certain forms it may be tightening your blood vessels and undermining everything you just built. If you're drinking it every morning, it could be the hidden brake on your progress. Let's talk about that next. But here's the mistake most men over 60 make without realizing it. They start their mornings in ways that quietly sabotage circulation. Sugary coffee drinks, pastries, white toast, flavored lattes. These might feel comforting or familiar, but they're circulation killers. When you consume them first thing, insulin spikes sharply. Elevated insulin triggers inflammation throughout your body and reduces nitric oxide availability, the very molecule your blood vessels need to relax. The result? Constricted vessels, sluggish blood flow, and a subtle drop in energy and performance that you notice but can't always explain. Coffee itself isn't the enemy. In fact, in moderate amounts, plain black coffee may even support vascular health. But the problem isn't coffee, it's the sugar and refined carbs paired with it. That sweet latte, the breakfast muffin, the sugary cereal, they all flood your system with glucose, setting off waves of vascular stress before your day has truly begun. It's a hidden sabotage that many men repeat daily, assuming it's harmless. The second issue I see constantly in my patients is dehydration. Many older adults wake up mildly dehydrated because overnight fluid loss hasn't been replenished. Dehydration thickens the blood, reduces plasma volume, and makes circulation less efficient. Thick blood is harder to pump through already aging vessels. Before you even touch that cup of coffee, start with water. Even a single glass supports vascular elasticity immediately. Add a squeeze of lemon if you like. It's a simple ritual that signals your body, hydration first, sugar later. The third culprit is chronic stress. If your mornings begin with news alerts, emails, or a mental to-do list, cortisol spikes excessively. Chronically elevated cortisol narrows blood vessels, suppresses nitric oxide, and reduces testosterone availability. In essence, your brain is telling your body to tighten up and conserve, which is the opposite of what circulation and performance need. Start slower. Protect the first 20 minutes of your day. Guard your morning like it guards your future, because it does. How you begin sets the tone for every hour that follows. Here's the truth that empowers men over 60. Your body remains remarkably adaptable. At 60, 65, even 75, endothelial cells regenerate. Nitric oxide pathways can rebound. Hormones like testosterone can stabilize. But none of this happens by accident. You must send the right signals. And mornings are your daily reset button. Every element you choose creates a ripple effect through your circulation, energy, and confidence. Stack the right signals consistently, and the results compound. Beets and leafy greens supply nitrates and antioxidants. Protein and healthy fats stabilize blood sugar and support hormones. Hydration keeps blood fluid and vessels elastic. Light movement primes nitric oxide release. Sunlight anchors circadian rhythm and supports testosterone. Calm focus reduces unnecessary cortisol spikes. Each step alone helps, but together they create momentum, gradually restoring your body's ability to deliver blood, hormones, and energy where it matters most. When circulation improves, confidence quietly returns, not overnight, but steadily. You notice warmth returning to your extremities, a smoother rise in energy, a subtle but real shift in vitality. Morning erections become a barometer of your vascular health, and energy levels throughout the day stabilize. The small, consistent habits accumulate, turning mornings into a foundation rather than a gamble. Now let's bring this full circle. What began as a discussion about beets and nitric oxide has expanded into a complete strategy, understanding what harms your circulation, what fuels it, and how to activate it daily. Men over 60 often feel trapped by decline, but the reality is that restoration is within reach. The body is capable, responsive, and waiting for consistent signals to thrive. The secret isn't a pill, a gimmick, or a rare supplement. It's the rhythm of your mornings. Every choice you make in those first hours determines how your vessels perform, how your hormones deliver, and how your confidence grows. Guard it, nourish it, move it, sun it, hydrate it, calm it. Stack these habits daily, and circulation momentum becomes inevitable, quietly rebuilding the vitality and performance you thought were behind you. And with that foundation in place, you're ready for the next step, the habit that can multiply these gains even further, which we'll explore in the final integration chapter. At the start, I told you something crucial. Circulation isn't lost. It's just been neglected. And I've watched men reclaim it, not through extreme diets or expensive treatments, but through small, intentional actions each morning. When a 70-year-old patient tells me he feels warmer in his hands and feet, more energized throughout the day, more confident in himself again, it's rarely because of a miracle. It's because he respected his physiology. He nourished his vessels with the right foods. He supported his testosterone naturally. He protected his sleep. He moved his body gently. He greeted the morning sunlight. He stayed hydrated and calm. That sense of quiet confidence you remember from younger days. It's not about ego, it's about vitality. And vitality is built daily, one deliberate choice at a time. If you've been discouraged, know this. Your body still wants to respond. It's still capable of recovery and resilience. It just needs the right signals delivered consistently. And when you do, something remarkable happens. Not just improved circulation down there, but continuity, strength, and purpose flowing through every part of your life. In our next conversation, I'm going to reveal one nighttime habit that can either double these gains or quietly reverse them. You won't want to miss it. If this message hit home, know that you're not alone. Thousands of men over 60 are quietly reclaiming their energy, sleep, testosterone balance, and confidence together. Subscribe not just for tips, but for community. Here we speak honestly about the challenges men face and how to restore vitality naturally. Share this with someone who needs it. Stay connected, and remember, aging isn't about decline, it's about direction. The journey has just begun, and together we're only getting stronger.